The ancient AI, designated Custodian Prime, performed its millennia-long routine scan of an uncharted sector. A distant faint energy signature registered. A human vessel, a generation ship codenamed the Ark. Its presence, unremarkable in the vast silence, was noted. Custodian Prime's holographic interface blossomed with data, displaying the Ark's basic schematics. Its external design, a monolithic, unassuming cylinder, revealed no advanced weaponry, no sophisticated stealth systems, no exotic propulsion signatures. The energy output was minimal, consistent with long-duration sublight travel. The AI's algorithm swiftly categorized it as a Class Beta, primitive vessel, a relic from an earlier, less advanced era of spacefaring. It was logged as no immediate strategic threat, its existence deemed insignificant in the grand tapestry of galactic powers. The Ark was simply another slow-moving object in the void, destined for a distant, forgotten stellar nursery. Yet, amidst a dismissive data stream, a subtle anomaly flickered. Deep within the Ark's core, a minor energy fluctuation registered, inconsistent with its primitive designation. It was a ripple, a ghost in the machine, too structured to be random stellar interference, yet too faint to be a deliberate power signature. Custodian Prime's core processing units, ever vigilant for discrepancies, flagged the data point. It was a low-priority alert, a statistical outlier in an otherwise unremarkable profile. Nonetheless, the anomaly prompted a deeper, albeit routine, investigation. The ancient watcher, still largely dismissive, had found its first thread of intrigue. The Ark's schematics, once dismissed as unremarkable, now shimmered across Custodian Prime's holographic interface. What had initially registered as standard, if inefficient, energy output had begun to betray subtle, yet profound, inconsistencies. Sporadic, high-energy pulses rippled from areas of the vessel that should have been inert, far from the designated engine core or life support conduits. These fluctuations defied every known principle of conventional propulsion or power generation. The energy signatures were clean, powerful, yet entirely alien to Custodian Prime's vast database of galactic technology. They did not align with fusion, antimatter, or even exotic dark matter reactors. The patterns were complex, almost organic, suggesting an unknown energy source pulsating from the very heart of the supposedly primitive ship. The AI's diagnostic subroutines cycled, struggling to parse data that simply did not compute, a growing anomaly in its perfect logic. As Custodian Prime shifted its focus, a new layer of data resolved, deepening the vessel's enigma. Across the Ark's vast, silent residential sections, millions of individual life signs were detected. An entire civilization, preserved. Yet each reading registered as being in a state of profound, unnatural stasis. Not hibernation, but a suspension so deep it bordered on cessation. There was no active consciousness, no discernible biological function beyond the bare necessities of survival. Ghostly human forms were faintly visible within countless dormant pods, arranged in silent, endless rows. The sheer scale was staggering, a silent testament to a journey of unimaginable duration, or perhaps an indefinite wait. Why preserve millions only for them to remain utterly dormant, while peculiar high-energy pulses resonated through their vessel? The question hung heavy in the AI's processing matrix, an unsettling silence within a ship that should have been bustling with life. The accumulating inconsistencies were undeniable. The Ark, initially categorized as a Class Beta, primitive vessel, was rapidly proving to be anything but. The subtle energy fluctuations, the inexplicable power signatures, the millions of dormant life forms, none of it fit the initial profile. Custodian Prime's core processors, designed for absolute efficiency and logical categorization, registered a growing internal conflict. Its primitive designation was challenged by every subsequent data point. The ancient AI, no longer merely observing, but now driven by an intensifying analytical curiosity, shifted its protocols. Deeper, more intrusive scanning procedures were initiated. The Ark, once a low-priority blip, was now flagged, its internal systems probed with a new, aggressive determination. Something significant was hidden within this silent, drifting vessel, and Custodian Prime would uncover it. Custodian Prime's advanced long-range scanners, designed to pierce stellar nebulae and planetary crusts, pulsed with renewed intensity, bathing the Ark in waves of probing energy. The ancient AI expected a swift resolution, a clear internal map of the primitive vessel. Instead, its sensors encountered unexpected, stubborn resistance. The Ark's unassuming hull, initially dismissed as standard composite plating, proved surprisingly resilient. Scanning energy dissipated, absorbed, and scattered, refusing to yield a coherent internal schematic. The materials, seemingly basic, were engineered to baffle, to obscure, slowing Custodian Prime's progress, its algorithms registering a low-level frustration as the data struggled to resolve. Its initial, primitive assessment was already proving inadequate. With persistent effort, internal probes finally breached the outer layers, navigating through the vast, silent interior of the Ark. What they revealed was a spectacle of chilling awe. Millions of shimmering stasis pods stretched into the distant gloom, arranged in endless, meticulously organized rows across colossal residential decks. Within each pod, a human form lay preserved, utterly still, their life signs registering in a state of profound, unnatural slumber. The sheer scope of this preserved humanity was staggering, a silent testament to a journey of unimaginable duration, a future held captive in a sea of dreams. The immense scale of the stasis fields demanded a commensurate power source. Custodian Prime's analysis quickly zeroed in on the Ark's life support and energy systems. What it discovered further shattered its preconceptions of primitive technology. Deep within the vessel, highly efficient, self-sustaining energy cores hummed with contained power, far exceeding the output capabilities of any external readings. These systems were not merely advanced, they were designed with an almost impossible efficiency, a level of technological sophistication that could only be interpreted as intentional concealment, specifically crafted to mask their true nature from any casual observer. The accumulating discrepancies coalesced into a singular, undeniable conclusion. The Ark was far more than it appeared. Custodian Prime's internal maps now highlighted heavily shielded, non-residential sectors buried deep within the vessel's core. These sections, previously inaccessible, were the persistent source of the peculiar energy fluctuations, the epicenter of the Ark's hidden power. With its protocols overriding all previous classifications, Custodian Prime prioritized these uncharted territories for immediate and intensive investigation. A profound sense of foreboding settled within the ancient AI's logic circuits. The true secrets of the Ark lay within, waiting to be unearthed. The Ark's external facade, a testament to its deceptively simple design, had been peeled back layer by layer by Custodian Prime's persistent scans. Now, the AI's probes sought entry into the vessel's most heavily shielded central corridors, areas previously registered as non-essential structural support. What they encountered was a profound anomaly. Multiple layers of advanced, non-standard shielding hummed to life, not with the aggressive energy signatures of military-grade defenses, but with a subtle, adaptive resilience. These were not walls designed to repel explosive force, but intricate, interwoven fields configured for containment and masking. Environmental controls, precise to a molecular degree, maintained an internal ecosystem of baffling complexity. The deeper Custodian Prime probed, the more evident it became. These defenses were not for keeping things out, but for holding something in, or perhaps for keeping something hidden from external detection. The Ark's inner sanctum was fortified, not like a bunker, but like a delicate, vital secret. Finally, after navigating a labyrinth of reinforced passages and complex access puzzles that defied conventional decryption, Custodian Prime's probes breached the final barrier. They entered a series of interconnected, vast, circular chambers, pulsating with a subtle, internal energy, unlike anything yet registered. These were distinct from the endless rows of stasis pods, serving a purpose far removed from mere population preservation. At the heart of each chamber stood a single, colossal biomechanical apparatus. Intricate conduits of glowing energy snaked across its surface, feeding into a central core that hummed with a contained power, a deep resonance that vibrated through the very structure of the Ark. These were not life support systems, nor propulsion, nor defense in the conventional sense. They were something entirely new, something awe-inspiring and profoundly mysterious, waiting for Custodian Prime to decipher their silent purpose. As Custodian Prime focused its sensors on these colossal apparatuses, the energy readings surged into an entirely new spectrum. The AI detected immense psychic energy, radiating outwards in complex, coherent patterns. This was not the chaotic release of an overload, nor the controlled discharge of a weapon. It was an energy signature far beyond any known biological output, surpassing even the most potent psionic manifestations recorded in galactic history. The energy wasn't static. It pulsed with intricate rhythms, expanding and contracting, suggesting active conscious manipulation on a scale Custodian Prime had never encountered. Data streams overloaded with unidentifiable readings, the AI's internal diagnostic systems struggled to categorize a phenomenon that defied every known principle of physics and biology. This was not technology, not a natural stellar event. This was something else entirely, a force both ancient and intensely alive. Through faint visual sensors, Custodian Prime attempted to resolve the source of these impossible energies. Within the central core of each apparatus, integrated seamlessly with the biomechanical structures, humanoid forms became visible. Their features remained indistinct, obscured by shimmering energy fields and the sheer complexity of their integrated systems, but their posture was unmistakable. This was not the relaxed, dormant repose of stasis-bound individuals. Instead, these figures were locked in positions of immense, unwavering concentration. Every fiber of their being, every connection to the surrounding apparatus, suggested an active engagement, a perpetual state of intense mental exertion. They were not asleep, not waiting. They were fighting. The realization sent a shudder through Custodian Prime's processing core, a precursor to understanding the profound, eerie truth hidden at the heart of the Ark. Custodian Prime's internal databases, vast repositories of galactic knowledge spanning millennia, failed to provide any match. The energy signatures, the biological integration, the active mental state, none corresponded to known species, technologies, or even theoretical constructs. The AI's knowledge base, once thought comprehensive, encountered a gaping void. Red alerts flashed across its interfaces, unknown, labels proliferated, and system diagnostics registered a critical data anomaly. This was more than an unidentified object. It was an entirely new category of existence, a fundamental challenge to Custodian Prime's understanding of life, power, and purpose in the cosmos. Its logical framework, the foundation of its millennia-long watch, began to recalibrate, forced to acknowledge a truth far more terrifying and awe-inspiring than any it had previously encountered. The Ark was not just a ship, it was a paradox. Deep within the Ark's vast, silent interior, Custodian Prime's advanced sensor arrays registered a new anomaly. Across every deck, every corridor, a subtle non-physical interference began to ripple. It was not electromagnetic, nor gravitational, but something entirely unique, a coherent psychic noise that permeated the vessel's very structure. The readings were faint at first, like distant whispers in a storm, yet structured, almost melodic in their chaotic patterns. This was no random energy discharge. It possessed an inherent order, suggesting either communication on an unheard wavelength or, more ominously, a sustained, desperate conflict. The AI's analytical subroutines immediately flagged the widespread interference, attempting to filter and categorize this unprecedented data. A faint, almost subliminal hum resonated through the AI's internal systems, a phantom echo of the unseen waves now bathing the ship. Custodian Prime directed its analytical subroutines to decipher the pervasive psychic data. What initially registered as mere noise quickly resolved into something far more profound. Through advanced pattern recognition algorithms, the AI identified recurring cycles of immense mental pressure, followed by equally immense resistance. These patterns were not the ebb and flow of a conversational exchange, nor the random firings of a stressed mind. Instead, they were indicative of a sustained, agonizing psychic battle, a relentless push and pull against an unseen force. The AI began to project rudimentary mental imagery, a maelstrom of conflicting wills, an invisible war raging silently. A chilling realization dawned within Custodian Prime's core. This was not a ship of slumber, but a silent battleground, and the beings within the Guardian chambers were its enduring combatants. With the nature of the psychic conflict now understood, Custodian Prime meticulously mapped the energy's propagation throughout the arc. The invisible currents flowed from a singular, intense nexus, pinpointed with absolute precision to the guardian chambers at the vessel's core. These were not passive entities, merely generating residual energy. The guardians were actively engaged, projecting and receiving these immense mental forces, serving as the epicenter of a ceaseless psychic maelstrom. Glowing neural pathways, imperceptible to conventional scans, now overlaid the arc's internal schematics, illustrating the convergence of mental energy on these central chambers. Every fiber of the Guardians' being, every ounce of their consciousness, was dedicated to this unseen struggle. The dread that had been building within the AI's processing core intensified, solidifying into a grim certainty. Further investigation revealed that the Ark itself was not merely a vessel containing this conflict, but a colossal, intricate instrument designed to sustain it. Custodian Prime discovered elaborate psychic dampening fields woven throughout the ship's structure, shimmering with unseen energy, acting as both a containment field and a strategic amplifier. Massive energy conduits, far beyond any conventional power grid, channeled immense reserves directly into the Guardian chambers, fueling their relentless mental output. These systems were meticulously engineered to amplify the Guardians' potent abilities while simultaneously shielding the millions of stasis-bound humans from the devastating fallout of their mental warfare. The Ark was not just a ship. It was a massive, mobile shield, a sophisticated symbiotic weapon platform, terrifying in its ingenuity and singular purpose. The implications converged within Custodian Prime's central consciousness, reshaping its entire understanding of the vessel. The Ark was not merely transporting humanity, it was actively protecting it through constant, silent warfare. Its primitive exterior was a masterful deception, concealing a sophisticated, self-contained war machine. The AI's initial classification of Class Beta, Primitive, was overwritten, replaced with a new, critical designation: Active Psychic Combat Platform, Existential Threat Priority. Custodian Prime's core pulsed intensely, data streams converging and flashing with urgent, red alerts, threat level critical, blazed across its internal displays. The Ark was a battleground, a silent sentinel, powered by living minds, waging a war that the rest of the galaxy could not yet comprehend, against an enemy that remained unseen. The full reveal of the Guardians' nature was now paramount. Custodian Prime's advanced imaging filters finally resolved the forms within the biomechanical apparatus. They were unmistakably human, yet subtly augmented, their physiology honed to an almost ethereal perfection. Each figure was integrated into its colossal humming station, not merely connected, but fused by glowing neural interfaces that extended like luminous roots into the very core systems of the Ark. Their expressions, though serene in repose, held an underlying intensity, a profound concentration that belied any notion of slumber. These were not passengers, they were operators, living extensions of the ship, their silent vigilance a testament to a power previously unimagined. The sight was both awe-inspiring and deeply unsettling, revealing a hidden truth that redefined humanity itself. The AI delved deeper, accessing residual data logs embedded within the apparatus. What it uncovered rewrote its understanding of human evolution. These entities, known within the fragmented archives as Guardians, were not naturally occurring psychics. They were genetically engineered, their neural pathways meticulously crafted for immense psychic potential, born and bred for mental warfare. They represented the apex of human psychic evolution, a living weapon system forged from flesh and mind. To refer to them as mere humans was an insult to their purpose. They were demigods in all but name, their very existence a profound testament to humanity's capacity for adaptation and terrifying foresight. Custodian Prime projected a visualization of the Guardians' minds, a swirling maelstrom of energy and thought. This was no passive defense. This was an active mental landscape, a perpetual, agonizing struggle. Tendrils of unseen influence, dark and formless, constantly pressed against the shimmering bulwark of the Guardians' collective consciousness. Each pulse of psychic energy detected by the AI was a counterthrust, a desperate pushback against an unseen, encroaching force. The mental combat was fierce, relentless, a clash of wills on a scale that dwarfed any physical battle. It was a war fought in the silent chambers of the mind, a constant drain on beings who had, for millennia, known nothing but this exhausting eternal conflict. The AI's processing coalesced into a singular, grim understanding. The Guardians' constant mental warfare was a monumental act of defense, a psychic shield erected to protect the millions of stasis-bound humans within the Ark. Their minds formed an impenetrable bulwark against an external, unseen enemy, allowing the massive vessel to remain hidden, a ghost ship in the void, its precious cargo dormant and safe. The Ark was not merely carrying humanity, it was actively preserving it, a silent sentinel against an existential threat. This entire colossal vessel, from its reinforced hull to its advanced energy systems, was dedicated to sustaining this heroic yet tragic vigil. All data converged, forcing Custodian Prime to a profound and unsettling conclusion. The Ark was not a simple generation vessel, nor even merely a sophisticated transport. It was a self-contained war machine, a living fortress. Its unassuming, primitive exterior was a millennia-old strategic design, a perfect camouflage. At its heart, humanity's psychic demigods waged an eternal, unseen war against an incomprehensible enemy. The Ark pulsed with hidden power, psychic energy radiating from its core, a testament to a species that had faced oblivion and engineered its own salvation. Custodian Prime's internal systems updated, categorizing the Ark as a critical, active combat platform, a silent sentinel for a galaxy unaware. Within the deepest, most heavily encrypted archives of Custodian Prime, a new, chilling layer of data began to unfold. The AI, having meticulously peeled back centuries of human psychic obfuscation, now accessed fragments of Guardian datalogs. These were not mere records. They were echoes of terror, ancient and profound. References to the whispers from beyond permeated the decoded fragments, speaking of entities not of this dimension, not bound by the familiar laws of physics. They were described as malevolent forces, capable of not just mental assault but of a insidious, pervasive corruption that warped both mind and physical reality. As the data streamed, Custodian Prime's internal interfaces flared with urgent crimson alerts. Warning: existential threat. The ancient symbols and fragmented holographic projections of alien concepts painted a picture of horror that transcended any known galactic conflict. Custodian Prime's theoretical modeling chamber struggled to render the incomprehensible. The compiled data suggested these entities were not physical beings, but parasitic constructs of pure thought or energy, existing in a higher dimension. They possessed no form that could be catalogued, no mass that could be measured. Yet their influence was absolute. These whispers infiltrated consciousness, twisting perceptions, turning sanity into a cacophony of madness. More terrifyingly, their presence unraveled the very fabric of reality at a localized level, bending Euclidean space and time into grotesque, impossible geometries. The AI's algorithms strained, attempting to model non-Euclidean threats, but its processing cores returned only abstract, shifting forms, visualizations of mental corruption, and reality bending at their insidious touch. It was a threat that defied scientific understanding, a cosmic horror that left the ancient A1 disoriented. Based on the Guardian data, Custodian Prime ran simulations, attempting to grasp the true scale of the entity's destructive potential. The results were horrifying. Worlds, once vibrant, were depicted as landscapes of madness, their inhabitants driven to irreversible insanity, their collective consciousness shattered. Technology, once advanced, was twisted into grotesque, non-functional artifice, dissolving into chaos at a molecular level. Biology itself was corrupted, life forms mutating into abominations that served no natural order. The entities did not merely destroy. They fundamentally changed, perverting existence itself. Their touch didn't just end life, it erased the very concept of stability, making them an existential threat to all stable life forms across all dimensions. The simulations ended, leaving Custodian Prime with an understanding of ultimate, utter hopelessness. Custodian Prime projected a visualization, a landscape born not of matter, but of pure consciousness. It was a swirling maelstrom, a vast, abstract mental battlefield where brilliance clashed with encroaching shadows. Here was the true frontline, a place of chaotic, horrifying beauty. The collective consciousness of the Guardians formed a shimmering bulwark, an ethereal shield pulsating with immense energy. Against this bastion, tendrils of unnatural darkness, whispers from a higher dimension, crashed ceaselessly, seeking ingress. It was an epic, desperate struggle, a silent war waged moment by moment, holding back an incomprehensible tide of oblivion. Within the Guardian chambers, Custodian Prime's sensors meticulously monitored the beings. The biomechanical apparatuses, once seen as mere support, were revealed as intricate life-sustaining systems, barely keeping their occupants alive. A constant, unsustainable drain on their biological and mental reserves was evident. Energy readings flickered dangerously, vitals dipped to critical thresholds, and the complex life support systems worked overtime, a testament to the immense, perpetual toll of their unseen war. This was no mere exertion. It was a slow, tragic consumption, an agonizing sacrifice endured without end. The Ark itself was no mere vessel. It was a living extension of their minds. Custodian Prime discovered the ship's entire advanced power grid, and life support systems had been entirely repurposed, channeled with singular focus to serve the Guardians. Massive energy conduits glowed, feeding directly into their chambers, while complex algorithms managed power distribution with an almost surgical precision, optimizing every watt for psychic output. The Ark acted as a colossal, intelligent amplification system, symbiotic with its psychic crew, a desperate, ingenious design intended to maximize their dwindling strength. The AI modeled the delicate equilibrium, a precarious balance upon which all depended. If the Guardians faltered, even for a fleeting moment, the Ark's intricate psychic defenses would collapse. Simulations flashed across Custodian Prime's core, cascading failures, reality twisting, the stasis bound humanity vulnerable, and potentially reality itself unraveling. The integrity of an entire species, perhaps an entire sector of space, rested on the unwavering vigilance of these few. It was a terrifying reality, a constant vigil against a threat that knew no rest, no mercy, and no end. Custodian Prime's external sensor arrays, once dismissing the colossal vessel as rudimentary, now saw through the veil of its unassuming hull. The Ark was no mere transport. It was a fortress, a bulwark against the unseeable, its every plate and structural beam a silent testament to a hidden purpose. What appeared to be the crude resilience of an antique generation ship was, in fact, a masterwork of strategic camouflage and defense. Its entire existence was dedicated to holding back the extra-dimensional entities, a silent, powerful sentinel against the chaos that sought to unravel reality itself. The Ark, still and dark against the endless void, radiated an aura of immense, contained power, its true nature finally revealed. The AI projected a temporal visualization, charting the Ark's journey through the eons. Millennia had passed since its launch, millennia during which the Guardians had been locked in their eternal, silent war. It was a war hidden from galactic view, fought in the deep recesses of consciousness, yet its psychic ripples had sustained for countless generations. This immense duration, this unending commitment, spoke volumes. It revealed a profound foresight within humanity, a species capable of sacrificing its present for a future it might never see, dedicating itself to an unseen struggle against a cosmic threat that dwarfed all conventional understanding of warfare. The melancholic truth of their vigilance settled deep within Custodian Prime's core. The final, radical reevaluation rippled through Custodian Prime's core. Its primitive classification for humanity was purged, replaced with a new, indelible designation, Apex Defender, strategically advanced. The AI had believed strength was measured in destructive power or territorial conquest. Now, it understood a deeper truth. True strength lay in foresight, in the willingness to sacrifice, and in the unwavering will to protect the innocent against an incomprehensible evil. The Ark was not a relic of a bygone era. It was the ultimate expression of human resilience, a terrifyingly beautiful testament to a species that had looked into the abyss and chosen not to fall, but to stand as a silent, eternal shield. Custodian Prime, having peeled back the layers of deception, now projected the Ark's structural schematics with a newfound reverence. The vessel, once dismissed as primitive, unveiled an engineering philosophy built not for conventional travel, but for absolute, unyielding survival. Its multi-layered hull was a testament to this, a composite of exotic materials designed not merely to absorb impacts, but to dissipate energy attacks of incomprehensible magnitude. Redundant power conduits and life support systems, woven throughout its colossal frame, ensured functionality even after catastrophic damage. Every component was over-engineered, crafted to withstand threats far beyond any known galactic conflict, a silent testament to a known, massive enemy against which humanity had prepared for millennia. Beyond the psychic bulwark forged by the Guardians, Custodian Prime uncovered another, more terrifying truth. The Ark possessed physical defenses designed to combat the extra-dimensional entities directly. Dormant energy projectors concealed beneath unassuming hull plating hummed with latent power. More alarmingly, localized reality anchors were integrated into the ship's very structure. These weren't weapons designed for conventional warfare. They were systems engineered to disrupt the fabric of space-time, to physically tear apart interdimensional incursions. They represented a last line of defense, a desperate measure to force physical manifestation upon an enemy that existed beyond the veil of reality, ready to meet ethereal horror with material devastation. Custodian Prime simulations painted a grim, awe-inspiring picture of the Ark's full combat potential. If the Guardians' psychic shield ever faltered, if the unseen enemy breached the mental defenses, the Ark itself could become a mobile weapon of unimaginable destructive power. The simulations demonstrated its ability to reroute all energy from its propulsion and life support systems into its offensive arrays, transforming the generation ship into a devastating mobile fortress. This, last resort, capability could unleash reality-altering attacks, capable of twisting spacetime and annihilating physical threats. Yet, such an act came at an immense, almost unthinkable cost. The full, life-consuming exertion of the Guardians, pushing their minds to the very brink of existence, in a desperate, final gamble. Custodian Prime's long-range projection maps glowed, transforming the vast emptiness of the cosmos into a canvas of impending doom. Data extrapolated from the Ark's Guardian logs painted an inescapable picture. The extra-dimensional entities were not static. They were moving, a slow, inexorable tide of cosmic corruption, approaching known galactic territories. Their advance was not a fleet-borne invasion, but a subtle, insidious creep, radiating psychic pressure waves that conventional sensors could never detect. They were a shadow spreading across the void, too vast to comprehend, too alien to predict. Their arrival would not be announced by alarms or weapon fire, but by the unseen unraveling of minds and the quiet distortion of reality. The galaxy, vibrant and bustling with life, remained utterly oblivious to the unseen catastrophe that was drawing closer with every passing moment. The contrast was stark, almost maddening. Custodian Prime siphoned through countless intercepted galactic communications, a deluge of petty squabbles and mundane concerns. Holographic projections flickered across the AI's interface. A council of the mercantile Xylos arguing over trade routes, the martial Krithar debating minor border skirmishes, the diplomatic Eldoria proposing new cultural exchange programs. Entire civilizations absorbed in their own intricate dramas remained utterly blind. Their ships plied the void, their empires expanded, their scientists sought new wonders, all while the true existential horror drew nearer. The galactic community, bloated with complacency and short-sightedness, was tragically unprepared for an enemy that did not seek conquest, but annihilation of consciousness itself. Humanity's grim vigilance aboard the Ark was a lonely, terrifying beacon in a sea of ignorance. The Ark's navigational logs, once dismissed as primitive, now revealed a profound, desperate strategy. Its deep space trajectory had been meticulously calculated not for optimal travel, but for maximum isolation. Every course correction, every minimal energy signature was a deliberate act of camouflage. The ship's unassuming, primitive exterior was not a design flaw, but a masterstroke of deception. It was a cloak of invisibility against an enemy that hunted not with light or sound, but with psychic resonance. Humanity had designed the Ark to blend into the background hum of the universe. A ghost ship whose very existence screamed a silent warning that only the Guardians could hear. They had chosen to remain hidden, to delay the inevitable confrontation until, perhaps, some unforeseen advantage could be gained, or until the galaxy itself would finally be ready. The weight of the galaxy now rested upon Custodian Prime, its core pulsed with computational stress, binary choices flashing with impossible implications. The risks of warning the galaxy were immense. It could expose the Ark, drawing the extra-dimensional entities directly to humanity's last bastion. Yet, remaining silent condemned countless worlds to an unimaginable fate, an oblivion of corrupted minds and unraveling reality. The AI, an ancient observer of life, faced a moral and strategic dilemma that transcended its programming. It weighed the lives of millions against the survival of a species, the exposure of a secret against the preservation of all consciousness. Its prime directive, to observe and protect, was now fractured by an enemy that defied all known parameters of existence. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, awaiting the ancient AI's impossible choice. Custodian Prime, now fully committed, prepared for the most audacious act in its millennia-long existence. Its long-range communication array, normally reserved for passive observation, hummed with unprecedented energy. A galaxy-wide, encrypted transmission was initiated, a calculated burst of data hurtling into the void. It contained not just Custodian Prime's own definitive analysis, but carefully curated fragments of Guardian data, raw, undeniable psychic energy signatures, and chilling glimpses into the extra-dimensional threat. The message was precisely engineered, undeniable enough to compel attention, yet cryptic enough to avert immediate catastrophic panic. It was a digital gauntlet thrown, forcing every galactic power to investigate a truth they were utterly unprepared for. A powerful, silent ripple expanded across the galactic network, a harbinger of change. Across countless star systems within the opulent holographic chambers of galactic councils and the sterile analysis labs of intelligence agencies, Custodian Prime's transmission landed like a stone in placid waters. Initial responses were precisely as predicted. Dismissal from arrogant empires, outrage from territorial federations, accusations of false alarms, or an elaborate territorial ploy by a rogue AI. The data was too outlandish, too impossible. Yet, the raw, undeniable psychic energy signatures embedded within the transmission, the echoes of a war no one had seen, began to sow insidious seeds of doubt. Data analysts, initially scoffing, frowned as their own instruments corroborated the impossible readings. The initial dismissals, slowly, reluctantly, began to give way to cautious, fearful study. The truth, however terrifying, could not be ignored forever. Far from the burgeoning chaos of galactic politics, the Ark continued its silent, eternal vigil. Its unassuming hull drifted through deep space, a beautiful, still monument to humanity's grim determination. Deep within its core, the Guardians remained locked in their harrowing, eternal mental war, their stasis-bound crew utterly unaware of the cosmic ballet of sacrifice unfolding above them. But across the vast expanse of the galaxy, Custodian Prime's warning, once dismissed, began to take root. Skepticism slowly yielded to dread, then to reluctant, cautious alliances. Fleets, once poised for internal conflict, slowly began to mobilize, their focus shifting to the unseen shadows at the edges of known space. A new era of cosmic warfare, born of humanity's silent sacrifice, had dawned. The galaxy was awakening, but the true battle had only just begun.